Welcome to Killer Cuisine, where we cover your favorite killers and their last meals. Today, we're covering Ruth Snyder, known during her final days as Ruthless Ruth. Her crimes were covered as sensationally as a celebrity. So what brought on this infamy? Let's find out. Mae Ruth Brown was born in Manhattan, New York in 1895. She married a man by the name of Albert Snyder, an editor for a motorboat magazine, who was still madly in love with his dead fiancée, Jessie Gouchard. Even 10 years after her death, he would always try to keep her memory alive by talking about her beauty and even hanging up her picture on the wall. Talk about being hung up on a woman. He even tried to name his boat after her because I'm pretty sure he still wanted another ride. Ruth has been even quoted saying,
"Didn't know what possessed me to marry him. His interests were not mine."
However, they stayed married and had a daughter named Lorraine, because kids always fix a broken marriage. Ruth Snyder looked for love outside her marriage due to being rejected by her husband. She eventually met a traveling corset salesman in Queens, New York by the name of Henry Judd Gray. Ruth and Gray became lovers, and they spent every moment that they could together. Gray was married and had a child at home just like Ruth. And this was not his first encounter with infidelity either. They devised a brilliant plan to get Ruth out of her marriage and commit insurance fraud all at the same time. They planned on killing her husband, Albert Snyder, by staging a robbery gone wrong and collecting $48,000, which would be about $500,000 today. This plan failed about 7 different times. On March 20th, 1927, which is attempt number 8 for those keeping track, Ruth and Gray struck Albert Snyder with the weight of a window sash and shoved rags filled with chloroform up his nostrils. They strangled him with a picture frame wire, and hopefully it wasn't from the picture of his dead fiancée. They arranged the scene to look like a robbery. Once police arrived, Gray left, and Ruth claimed that her house had been burgled by 2 giant Italians. They knocked her out, tied her up, left her in a hallway, murdered her husband Albert Snyder, and stole her jewelry. Using their amazing detective skills, the police were able to see through her lies and arrest Ruth for the murder of her husband, Albert Snyder. They noticed that she had no injuries and found her jewelry stuffed in a mattress. Within hours, Ruth gave up Gray and attempted to pin the whole thing on him. When Gray was questioned, he claimed that Ruth seduced him and she had planned the entire thing. Now that's true love. The police discovered that before Albert Snyder's murder, Ruth had forged an insurance policy in his name for nearly $100,000 in the event of an accidental death. Ruth was imprisoned and set to be executed in Sing Sing prison. They had a strict no-camera policy, so a reporter by the name of Tom Howard came up with a clever idea. He made a camera rig that would be mounted on his leg, and he would snap the picture during the execution. In what might be considered provocative at the time, he lifted his pant leg to snap the picture during the electrocution. The picture became famous overnight and is still arguably the most famous tabloid of all time. Up to this point, Ruth has 1 confirmed kill, 0 suspected kills, and has claimed to kill 0 people. So, what was Ruth Snyder's last meal? She requested chicken parmesan with Alfredo noodles, ice cream, 2 milkshakes, and a 12-pack of grape soda. Without the original recipes here at Killer Cuisine, we'll take a few liberties to help us enjoy her last meal. So, now you know the killer. Let's get to the cuisine.
We'll begin by making our chicken parmesan. You'll need at least 3 large chicken breasts, 1 beaten egg. You'll need 1 teaspoon of paprika, 2 cups of breadcrumbs, and some Parmesan cheese. Now we'll grab a separate bowl for our beaten egg. This is to dip our chicken in later. Now let's set this off to the side. Now grab a separate bowl for our breadcrumbs and our paprika. I have a whisk handy, so I'm going to go ahead and use this to mix it right in. Ooh, so thorough. Now you can either grab a baking dish or a cooking sheet. Either way, make sure to have it well greased. Now arrange everything to make it most easy for you. Next, you'll grab the piece of chicken and drown it in the egg. After it's been submerged, go ahead and bury it in the breadcrumbs. Make sure it's nice and coated all around it. Repeat this process until you run out of chicken. Bake in a preheated oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 10 to 15 minutes. I'll time-lapse to save you all time. I topped the chicken with Parmesan cheese halfway through. Make sure to check that the chicken is thoroughly cooked. It should read at least 165 degrees Fahrenheit. As a reminder, when dealing with raw chicken, make sure to always wash your hands. Now, let's set this off to the side. And now it's time to cook our fettuccine Alfredo. You'll need 1 pound of fettuccine pasta, 2 cups of fresh Parmesan, 3/4 cup of unsalted butter, 3 cups of heavy whipping cream, and 1 teaspoon of salt. Watch this. Boom. When cooking our pasta, we'll obviously need water, so we'll go ahead and fill this with 4 quarts. Bring the water to a boil and go ahead and add in salt to taste. I'm relying on my ancestors to let me know when to stop. And go ahead and add in our uncooked noodles. We no longer need this box, so go ahead and recycle it. Stir constantly, boil it for 10 to 12 minutes. I was once told that if you throw a noodle at the wall and it sticks, you'll know it's done. Perfect. Drain the pasta and set it off to the side. Boom. Now we'll grab a saucepan, heat it up on medium heat. We'll then add on our butter and melt it all the way through. Look at it melt. I was once told butter is love, and there's a lot of love in this. Now add in your heavy whipping cream and bring it to a simmer. Once it's simmering, add in the Parmesan cheese. Do so until the sauce is thick. It should only take a few minutes to get there. Now we'll work on our milkshake. You'll need 1 1/3 cup of ice cream, 1/4 cup of milk, and these last 3 are optional: cherries, chocolate syrup, and whipped cream. We'll grab our cookies and cream ice cream and our milk and we'll blend it off to the side. Once it's nice and smooth, we'll bring it right back over. Still should remain semi-thick. Next, we'll add in our toppings. I like a lot of whipped cream in mine, so I'll go ahead and fluff it up just like that. Let's add in some chocolate syrup to taste, drizzle that bad boy all over it. Finally, we're going to top it off with 1 cherry. You can add in as many as you want. I will just stick to 1. And there you have it. Ruth Snyder's last meal.
Thank you for joining us today. Make sure to like and subscribe to be notified of future videos. Until then, this has been Killer Cuisine.